Well, honestly, not much to say here. Short movie, short review, I guess.
Je porte chez toi. Je suis contente qu'on se soit rencontrés.
Bonjour, parlez-vous français? That's about all I got. Petite Maman. This is the only review I've done in a minute that I feel bad about what's coming. So literally the best way I can describe Petite Maman is a film that you... This is a very generalized case, but it's a film that you have never heard of and probably will never watch. It's another one of those where it's just I'm watching it because I saw the trailer for it while seeing a different indie film at this art house local cinema that I go to, and I thought, okay, that looks to be a very simple, grounded drama that could have some very interesting ideas behind it and could lead to some very thought-provoking conversations. It has to deal with grief, it has to deal with kids and parents of the kids also dealing with that grief of losing a loved one and all that jazz. And the premise is interesting, so even if it wasn't going to be good, I looked to see about tickets and I saw, oh, it's, short film, a very short film, by the way, barely over like an hour, 10 minutes runtime. And I just thought, yeah, let's give it a go. So Petite Maman actually is directed by, hoping I'm saying this right, Celine Sciamma. She has a filmography. Most of her films that she's done are foreign, but surprisingly, one that did make it to the Americas and was, I think had nominations, but Portrait of a Lady on Fire or Woman on Fire, it's one of those films that, again, I meant to see it, I didn't see it, but from what I understand, I think it was fairly well received? Question mark? Let's see here. But same director, just a smaller scale project here. A very small cast, personally to me. Here's the weird thing. The film opens and you think there's going to be more involvement with the mother, who is the one who has lost her mother, but the film instead shifts focus to these two girls. The one who is the daughter of the woman who has lost her mother, and then the other little girl, who, and this is no spoiler alert, it's from the trailer, the other little girl is this first little girl's mother as a little girl. And you start to wonder, okay, hang on, are we dealing with like projections here? Are we dealing with trauma through mental coping mechanisms? Are we dealing with time travel? But long story short, the two little girls, Gabrielle Sanz and Josephine Sanz, which I am just now, as an idiot, realizing I think they are sisters. Good casting, honestly. They look very similar. They look alike, so it makes sense that in the movie they're also supposed to be canonically like mother-daughter. That works to the film's detriment as well, but I'll get to that in a moment. The premise I've already kind of outlined. This woman's mother is dead, but we're not really focused on the mother and her grief, which a lot of that is very internal, and we don't get to really see any of that. Instead, it goes to the woman's daughter, and it focuses on her, and I guess her mother and father are clearly there's an estrangement there of some sort, but they're getting together to help basically clear out the mother's house, the grandmother's house, I'll just say that. They're working towards clearing out grandmother's house, and the little girl's just kind of exploring the old rooms of this house and the nearby place and all this, and hearing little small excerpts and stories about what she already knew from grandma, plus what she's learning from her mother about just their history and all that. So, as always, gotta be fair, the pros first. It's one of those films where I didn't struggle to find pros, but I just put in there, oh, it's an HD. Well, it looks nice, sure. The actors all do a good job. The little girls are for sure the highlight of this film. They bring in that sense of somewhat purity and innocence and curiosity, but at the same time, you can tell, especially the daughter of the mother who lost her mother, so she's lost her grandmother, you can tell she's really close. She was really close to the grandmother, so this also is profoundly affecting her. So she's sad about losing grandma, and she's also sad for her mom, knowing that, oh, my mom has lost her mom. For a little girl, you can tell she's at least emotionally very, very much more in a mature mindset. She's still trying to have fun and do little girl things, but clearly this is affecting her. Like I said, the kids are great. The film looks good. It's short, so I mean, there's not too much of your time being sunk into this. There are solid moments throughout the film. These moments between the two girls after they find each other, moments when they're just having fun and just, I can't tell if it's scripted or if it's just they were rolling the camera and they got some stuff on footage. And there's even a couple conversations between the girls, between the girl and her father. There's like one good conversation between the little girl and her mother, which you would think, given the circumstances, there would be more, but not quite. Top con I put on here, this film is...
Not quite my tempo.
It didn't do it for me. It's the weirdest thing, and I feel like I'm in the minority here, because I looked online, and the critics and the few people who bothered to write a review online, everybody fucking loves this movie, the few that have seen it. I get what the film is going for, but I've seen other films, many other films, that do it so much better and so profoundly better. So I get the point is it's supposed to be simple, grounded, it's supposed to take its time. I'm not expecting an action drama flick here. I don't need action or anything. I don't mind a grounded drama, but you say slow burn, I say this film just really... I don't think it takes its time, it just takes too much time. For a short film, for me to like mentally, several times during this film check out of it, it takes a lot for me to check out of a film. Film is my passion, film and television. I will get into a good story, a narrative, a good film. For me to start checking out, thinking of other movies, literally, this film, moments throughout it, reminded me and triggered me emotionally of other films that did those same moments in a similar capacity, but better. There's a few scenes that have some impact to them, or some good dialogue, or they're good moments, but there's not nearly enough for this film to be constituted as the sum of its parts. It's not. This film just, for me, existed, and I watched it, and I thought, okay, that was a movie, that was a film. If this was like a student film, like if I was still in school and somebody made this for their student film, I'd be much more impressed. I would say, oh yeah, you're going in the right direction, I like what you did with it, there's some good concepts that you started to explore. But for this to be by somebody who already clearly has a foot in the door in Hollywood and all this, I'm not saying it's inherently a bad film, but I didn't like it. Take 8th Grade, right? Biased because I love Bo Burnham, but regardless of him directing it or not, that film was pretty grounded. You just go from location to location. There's comedy, sure, but there's not a lot happening. It's about the characters, it's about the environment they're in, it's about what they say to each other, the moments they have with each other. And I just think of it as a similar example. It doesn't deal with loss the same way, but if I'm comparing two films that are both relatively short films that don't have a lot going on in them, you get what I'm saying. It's two sides of the same coin here, but one side of the coin is a lot shinier and just better. It's more engaging, it's better written, it's hard to all put into words, but perhaps if you also watch both films as I did, you would see the comparison that I'm making here. I changed my review for this at first because I saw the reviews online, and then I started to feel bad for what my initial opinion was, but honestly, I want to go with my gut on this one. And whenever I review a film, I have my two golden rules. One, I judge it based on my personal enjoyment. So there is an inherent bias, as with all reviewers out there. The review is going to be based on if I liked the film. But at the same time, I'm taking into account the film and its quality in itself. Like, as a film, does it accomplish what it set out to do? And then did I like it? As a film, did it accomplish what it set out to do? Petite, Maman? I'm sure the director thinks so. I think it mostly does, but not completely. I think there's good performances whenever the actors actually are on screen. It was a different, more subdued portrayal of grief, which isn't bad, but it makes for less of an engaging film for me, I think your average viewer personally. So it kind of accomplishes what it set out to do, but I think it left a lot to be desired, and there were avenues and character avenues, as well as narrative things. Narratively, the story did go have an A to B, but I think characters needed more time, especially the mother and the grandmother. And I don't see why. I get why the director chose to focus on the girls so much, but this is family. It's about the family and their grief in this, and it's just only the girl and what she's kind of doing. What the most boggling part of my mind is, I thought the whole thing was gonna be, oh, the little girl that's her mom and all this. She is imagining this because she's in her mother's childhood home, so she's seeing her mom through her eyes. No, they have it so at one point the girl shows up and the girl is talking to the dad. And it's confirmed that, like, oh, well, if the dad can fucking see the girl, then, like, what's going on here? Is there time travel? And then that opens up other questions where it's, well, it's either A, time travel, or B, the girl she's seen isn't actually her mother, but because she met this little girl in the woods, she immediately is associating it with her mother. But then she goes over to the little girl's house. But they never address that, so that's my two working theories. Either this film has like low-key time travel, or she did meet a little girl, but it's not her mother, and she is projecting this idea of her mother onto the little girl. Which, cool, that's a neat concept and premise, but maybe like explain it to your audience a bit better. I got sidetracked. The other half of this is, of course, personal enjoyment. I did not really enjoy my time with this. There were a few moments in the film where I gave a half-hearted chuckle. I sat there and was like, oh, this is adorable, this is cute, what's going on right now. And maybe one moment, maybe two moments of, oh wow, that exchange of dialogue was deep and meaningful, but also very human and open to interpretation. But there was not, for being a short film, there was not a lot of that. So I feel kind of shitty about it, but I'm going with my gut opinion on this. After I walked out of this, it's funny, I walked out and there's another couple that had come to see the movie, and I overheard them as I was walking out, and they didn't like it either, and the girl was like, oh yeah, it's like a C minus, or like she gave it like a C plus or C minus or something. It made me feel in that moment that I wasn't alone, but critics like it, so my rating for Petite Maman, which I saw in 2022, but technically online says 2021 release, I give it a high 2 out of 5, and I feel bad about it, but that's my honest opinion. People out there it's got a near perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes, but it gets the high 2 because I wanted to give it higher, but I can't in good conscience do it. It kind of sort of like 2 to 3/4 of the way accomplishes what it was set out to do, but there's so much missed opportunity, and there's just I personally feel more could have been done, explored, and expanded upon for the sake of the narrative and its characters, which in tandem leads to my personal enjoyment being I didn't enjoy it. I have no wish to see it again. I'm not gonna seek it out. During the film I kept checking out. I never check out of films, but it happened, and I wasn't a big fan. I personally think it misses the mark, but I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that would be willing to correct me on all that. I think if you want to watch a better film on grief, Drive My Car is a much better film. I didn't give it a crazy high rating, and it's more than 3 times the length of this film. But Drive My Car is a 3-hour film that's much better about keeping me enthralled in it. The dialogue, the pacing, even for being a long movie, like it's more of a slow burn, but it's a deserved slow burn, and just has much more to say on the topics and all that, because it's based off the works of a very prolific and profound author. It's mean, it's kind of harsh, but I would say do not waste your time with Petite Maman. You don't need to see it. Thank you guys and gals so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of whatever movie I review next. And goodbye, Travis.